welcome to Thai PBS English News Service. I'm Supajan Krinsawan. Just 2 hours ago, the Prime Minister announced on national TV that the government will impose the Internal Security Act in 3 Bangkok districts effective from today until the end of the month. The announcement came amid fears that this weekend's protest is likely to get out of control. At around 8:30 p.m. this evening, Prime Minister Yingluck appeared on every free TV channel to announce that the 2008 Internal Security Act, or ISA, will be imposed in 3 districts of Bangkok, namely Pranakon, Bomprap Satrupai, and Dusit. These 3 districts are the areas in and around where the Pitak Siam, or Siam Protection Anti-Government Group, will rally against the government this weekend. The Prime Minister claims the implementation of the law is for the safety of all parties, including the protesters themselves. The 2008 Internal Security Act, or ISA, will allow state officials, including the police, to prohibit any persons or groups of persons entering the area where the act is in effect. However, the ISA may be lifted sooner than the end of the month if the rally is orderly and peaceful. Expressing opposition in a free democracy is normal, but the special cabinet decision to invoke the ISA was based on intelligence reports received by security agencies, which indicated that the Pitak Siam rally might put people's lives and property in danger. Yingluck quoted security agency intelligence that heavy weapons will be transported to inner Bangkok in an effort to use force to overthrow her government, which the Prime Minister emphasized as democratically elected by the majority of Thais. The Pitak Siam group denies these claims. The Prime Minister insists police controlling protesters this weekend will not be armed and will deal with the demonstrators in accordance with international standards. There were rumors earlier today that security officials had discovered plans by groups against the government to abduct the Prime Minister herself. And still on politics, the Constitutional Court has rejected 3 petitions asking it to order the Pitak Siam group to cancel its planned rally on Saturday, confirming that the Pitak Siam group has the constitutional rights to hold a mass rally against the government. The Constitutional Court has decided not to accept for consideration 3 petitions asking it to call off the Pitak Siam group's rally on Saturday, ruling that there is no evidence that the protesters plan to illegally topple an administration democratically elected under the constitutional monarchy. The petitions were filed by former Senator Rungkai Likitwathana, Pheu Thai Party member Sing Thong Buashum, and lawyer Ning Din Wimuttinan, citing Section 68 of the Constitution, which prohibits attempts to overthrow the constitutional monarchy or grab power by unconstitutional means. The court said the lawyers that represented General Bunler Gaprasit and the group's spokesman had never said that they wanted to place the country under military rule, and there are no indications that the protests will lead to illegal reduction of rights and liberties granted under the Constitution to topple democratic rule. Meanwhile, the United Front of Democracy Against Dictatorship, or UDD, in several north and northeast provinces will rally against the Siam Protection Group this Saturday. UDD supporters gathered earlier today at the Chiang Mai Municipal Sports Stadium under the supervision of over 200 police, both in uniform and in plain clothes. Thida Thawon said Natawut Saikia Jatupon Prompan, UDD core leaders were also there. In Udon Thani province, a leader of Udon Thani Lovers Club said that their members will be gathering by tomorrow in order to show opposition of the Siam Protection Group. He confirmed that the group will not gather in Bangkok, but in case of violence, they will gather their supporters and travel to the capital immediately. In an effort to clamp down on insurgency as well as to decrease illegal trafficking of arms, narcotics, and untaxed items in the Deep South, Thai and Malaysian joint border committees will meet in Kuala Lumpur to boost bilateral cooperation on border issues. Malaysian Border Patrol Commander General Mohammed Lamri and Colonel Wicha Suksong of the 5th Region Army Force in southern Thailand expressed their confidence that authorities of both Thailand and Malaysia have done a great job in clamping down on illegal cross-border activities. After wrapping up a symbolic joint border patrol, the Thai and Malaysian JBC, or Joint Border Committee, will meet this week in Kuala Lumpur to ensure further and stronger cooperation is implemented. The task force along the Thai-Malaysian border will focus on clamping down on smugglers of untaxed products, arms, narcotics, as well as chemical substances used by insurgents to create unrest in the Deep South. Bangkok claims many insurgents in the Deep South hold dual citizenship, making it easier to flee to Malaysia after staging attacks. In the long term, Thai officials believe with the help of Malaysia, the problems in the South can be overcome. And moving on to the drought. Many provinces in the northeast are experiencing the lowest level of water in the rivers in a decade. At least 28 districts in the region are stricken by drought and have now been declared disaster zones. Long periods of little rain combined with a reduction in the amount of water being released from the Ubonrat Reservoir is resulting in Khön Kham district of Yasothon province seeing the lowest amount of water in the Shi River this decade. Sandbanks are now visible above the surface mid-river. The positive side of this is building material suppliers are getting easier access to sand for the construction industry. They usually need to dredge for sand using boats. 8 of 9 districts in Yasothon province have now been declared disaster zones due to this drought. In nearby Kalasin, 13 out of 18 reservoirs have stopped releasing water, claiming they must reserve water for the dry season. The average amount of water kept in the reservoirs is now only 30% of pool capacity. Soldiers have now started to delivering supplies to locals who short water. Meanwhile, in Nakhon Ratchasima, 20 out of 32 districts have also been declared disaster zones. Some 700,000 rai, or 112,000 hectares of farmland, is now just parched wasteland. All reservoirs in the province are holding less than 50% of their capacity, forcing irrigation officials to halt all release of stored water at the moment. And today, the Ministry of Public Health held a discussion forum, drug patents under the United States-Thailand Free Trade Agreement, or FTA. Both the government and private sector took part in the debate, focusing on patent terms, extensions, and data exclusivity following a number of disputes in recent years. Here's more from our reporter, Sarita Kanangkun.
Today's open debate between government and the private sector about drug patent restrictions imposed by the United States and the European Union in trade negotiations was led by the Minister of Public Health, Pradit Sinthawanarong. The meeting focused on patent term extensions and data exclusivity. The minister said the matters discussed will assist in guiding government action and the development of solutions to trade issues. The Department of Trade Negotiations welcomed the positive discussions, saying it will encourage foreign investment and lead to a rise in the overall economic growth rate. However, consumer watchdogs disagree, claiming that foreign companies will be the ones to benefit from an FTA. They also claim that Thailand's import of drugs from abroad represent about 70% of medicine used in the country. And an FTA between the United States and Thailand would limit competition and reduce access to affordable medicine in Thailand, as well as increase the country's healthcare budget and freeze the development of the local pharmaceutical industry. Sarita Thanangkun, Thai PBS.
Officials from the Ministry of Social Development and Human Security in Ang Thong province have taken 2 boys who are assumed to have been poisoned for emergency treatment after their mother's death this morning. Here's more from Bonot Seasinsap.
Went to collect the body of Patum Namjalan at Ang Thong Hospital after she died this morning. Physicians specified the cause of her death as poisoning by a substance similar to weed killer. Patum's 2 sons, who also ingested the poison, are now reported to be in a stable condition and are now under medical supervision. Meanwhile, officers from the Po Thong police station are testing the drinking water at the home of the victims to see if it contains any poisonous substances. Namjalan, the older brother of the dead woman who lives in the same house and often had arguments with her, is a suspect, and his fingerprints have been taken. The police say they will consider every possibility and are not ruling out the chance that Patum might have been under a lot of pressure and decided to commit suicide. The investigation continues.
A consultant from the Thailand Development Research Institute claims that the G2G Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, on the rice trade, which was signed between Thailand and China yesterday, has no meaning in urging the government to release rice as soon as possible, as urgently required by the Ministry of Finance. Here's more from our reporter, Kun Udomrat Unharekachit.
Following the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding yesterday, a number of academics and businessmen are of the belief that the government is trying to fend off the political difficulties caused by the rice pledging scheme. Amman Sayamwala, a consultant from the TDRI, urged the government to review the rice pledging scheme as public debt is increasing and might lead to a serious lack of liquidity. He believes that the MOU has no meaning due to the unspecified amount of rice, type of rice, and the lack of a defined delivery schedule for the rice, which makes it an empty document.
It has absolutely no meaning. It's an empty document.
So it's just memorandum of understanding.
The government can, the Minister of Commerce can put it in a frame, all right, and put it in his office.
Dr. Nipon Puapongsakorn, the president of the Thailand Development Research Center, advised the government to stop the rice pledging scheme immediately. Otherwise, he says, it will force farmers to focus on only the quantity and ignore the quality of rice, and replace the scheme with a so-called coupon policy, which helps the poorer rather than the richer farmers.
The government will have to spend more and more money, borrowing more and more money to finance this project, and it's gonna cause an increase in large public debt. So our fiscal position will be very vulnerable.
An urgent document issued by the Ministry of Finance also urges the government to release rice purchased from farmers as soon as possible. Otherwise, the rice will deteriorate, adding that if the government does not release the store rice, it may affect the nation's fiscal budget. Udomlak Unhalekachit, Thai PBS.
After over a year of the Pheu Thai government's rice pledging scheme, Dr. Rungtip Chodapalai talked to Wichai Siprasert, CEO of Riceland International, a rice leading exporter and President Emeritus of the Thai Rice Exporters Association, who said that rice trade has to follow the market mechanism to maintain competitiveness in the world's rice market. Here's more.
What we should aim for Thai rice right now, because the price quite high, and then we still have a lot of rice in the stock, and we don't know how much.
Well, you know, if we were to look at the MOU, the Chinese party did put a clause in there to say that they like to do the rice business with Thailand. Secondly, they say, please do it on the basis of market mechanism. Yeah?
Right.
It's not that Thai government can set prices and expect them to buy. So I think if we heed their advice, we would do very well. If Thailand continue to sell rice according to the market forces, then we would be able to liquidate everything that the Thai farmer produce. If we don't heed the market mechanism, method of selling rice, if we depend on the government mechanism, we will accumulate more and more stocks and get to a point the Thai farmer would not be able to produce because there's no place to accommodate the rice stocks.
But what if the Thai government said they would do the same thing? They would not change a thing.
You think reality would not force the Thai government to buckle down? Nobody can fight with realities. A dream. When you face with reality, you got to listen to realities, and it's coming. Now we have been waiting for 12 months or so, and we see the government cannot liquidate the stock, not even a ton of rice. That already tells us that something is wrong, and we also see that the revenues that the private sector is able to sell the rice declined by 30%. Price went up, but revenue came less, more, smaller. It's not good for Thailand. That already tell you that we cannot walk that way.
So what would be good for Thailand?
Go back to the market mechanism. Allow the private sector to contribute. in a way that will serve the farmer well, in a way it will serve the buyers in the world well, and we will continue to be the champion again.
And that wraps up tonight's edition of Thai PBS English News Service. I'm Supachon Krin Suwan, wishing you a very pleasant evening. Good night. สวัสดีครับ